Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. It is the Florida pregame show. We got the Lando show. Landon up there, got Coach Dub, Charlie, got Nino's Corner, got Nick. Thank y'all for joining. Thank you for watching. If you're here, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. And of course, we got the party going over on InsideTexas.com. Use promo code IT1. Get yourself 2 months of access for just $1. And guys, we can kind of start off with the news that I think at least Texas fans had a good understanding when looking at that injury report that the SEC releases 90 minutes before game time. Good news, guys. 2 names that have been on there all week are not on there. That's Isaiah Bond. That's Andrew Makuba. Lando, we know how important Isaiah Bond is to this team, this offense, all the different things that they try to do, but having Andrew Makuba back, definitely a big boost as well.
No question. Yeah, I touched about just some of the back-end communication yesterday on the project. If anybody missed that, it's not too late to go and check that out before we kick off here in about 59 minutes. But yeah, I'm excited to see both of those guys back. 2 of the core players at the skill positions on their respective sides of the ball. Obviously, Isaiah Bond is a guy that we're learning is really important just in terms of stretching the field vertically. And so I'm really excited to see what, the blueprint that Vanderbilt tried to emulate or did to they were very successful in doing so, just in terms of firing that nickel, man, and sort of eliminating the combination of outside zone and then the play action boot off of that stuff. Right. I'm just really curious to see if I would imagine Florida does the same thing off of the 2 high stuff as well. But what is the counter from Steve Sarkisian? I know that's been one of the focal points for them throughout the entire bye week, and so getting a guy like Isaiah Bond back though helps everything is back to full strength now. So it's just going to be I'm going to be curious to see how they counter that, right? Because teams are going to continue implementing the same approach until you prove that you can beat them with it. So.
Coach, with Lando talked about firing that nickel, and that was one of those things that Vanderbilt, even Georgia to an extent, used to counteract those tight formations. So now you got Isaiah Bond, who not only can maybe make that nickel have to think, oh, I got to backpedal, but you can also spread him out all over the field horizontally like they did against Georgia too. It's a new threat that hasn't been – I mean, we love Ryan Wingo, but it's a new threat that hasn't been there without Bond.
Yeah, definitely. He's a threat to take a little bubble hitch and all that and take it to the house, right? He'll make people pay. So I think people have to worry about him on a perimeter game with the screens and quick passes. That nickel may not be able to fire because they may need him, as an extra body to go make a tackle. So he'll have a decision to make. And I think, like a lot of teams do, use that nickel and read off of him, kind of like Georgia tried to do with Jalen Gilbo, right? Kind of put him in no man's land so he can't blitz. If he blitz, make him pay. If he plays coverage, make him pay. So it'd be interesting to see what Texas does and how Sark uses Bond now that he's back in the lineup, moving him all over the field because you can't just key on one guy, right? And but if you do that, you can always throw to that future Mackey Award winner.
You've been pounding that drum more than anybody. Nino, looking on the defensive side of the ball, like we said, Andrew Makuba not on there. Gave him the week of Vanderbilt off. This is a game where, maybe you need him if Lagway is playing, and we're about to get to that topic. But we've been so impressed with Jelani McDonald that maybe you can ease in Makuba while also still getting the best from McDonald at the safety spot.
Yeah, man. So exactly. Bring in Andrew. Like as need be. So like if in danger, like break glass with him, but let 25 play, man, because he's getting all these reps now, which is going to be very, very, very fruitful for this team for next year, man. But Andrew's a beast. Him, Taft, 25, man. Look, I love all 3 of them, but let the youngster get his playing time now. He's going to have a great game today, and he is going to actually kind of, just have that actually set up here for next year as well.
I think it was our buddy Nash Talks Texas. I think he put the stats out, and I think since then the stats have developed. But Michael Taft and Caleb Downs are producing at a similar level.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's wild
concept for people to even think about considering still.
Yeah. And our guy James Hayden, he wrote an article. It's like one of these guys is a Thorpe semifinalist. The other guy is up for the best former walk-on trophy. Maybe one is being That's all to say that, this whole secondary, no matter who's been there, Andrew Makuba, Jelani McDonald, Coach, even when you talk about Gilbo being in no man's land, they trust McDonald in so many different roles too. Like I know against Georgia and I know against Michigan, they even put him out at star to play that role as kind of a half a linebacker, half a DB.
Yeah, when you get an athlete like him, former quarterback, those guys are usually smart. But most of the time when they play defense, man, they're able to be used and utilized in so many spots because they just understand the game. It slows down for them, right? They're able to process things. And so a guy like McDonald, who has the size to play star, he can come up and contain on the edge. He can cover one-on-one in space. He can run and play hash to hash. Like, he can do it all. So he's a versatile guy that you can move around and be kind of like a chess piece based on who you're playing. I think we talked about that early in the season. Texas having a ton of guys where they can be versatile and mix and match, and you never really know. You won't catch them in the same personnel or the same look, even defensively, right? Because guys can mix and match and play multiple spots, and it's really, really hard to gauge and game plan for.
One of the other things that go ahead.
I was just telling Coach, that was well said. I concur.
Yeah, exactly.
One interesting thing, and our guy Eric Naline wrote about this in the team notes the other day. We have seen we're probably going to see a little bit more of a youth infusion at special teams. Doesn't come as too much of a surprise. But one of the things is, like, this is where guys like Taff and even McDonald are able to prove themselves. We've seen that over the past few years. Jordan Johnson-Rubel, I'm excited to see what he's able to do. I know Kobe Black's getting more playing time. I'm excited to see what he is able to do playing those special team spots. But they need to get stuff from guys like Tassili Akana, whose contributions have been minimal for the most part over the past his past couple of years here. These guys are getting chances, and usually Texas likes playing starters on special teams. Now with the defensive back depth chart kind of getting trimmed down towards the bottom, some of those guys who are maybe not seeing standard down playing time or action unless it was a blowout need to start getting their work in. Anything else on the Texas side of things, y'all? What do y'all think happens with Broughton's first half? Who y'all expect to see more of?
If you don't mind, Joe, can I build off of that real fast too? I want to make sure that people understand, like, when injuries begin to happen, and knock on wood, obviously, right? We don't ever want to see that, but that's why. So the moniker that I've really been honing in on throughout this whole process is the depth is the difference, right? And so there's a reason for that beyond just your one and your two deep on your offense and your defense, right? There's three phases to this, but then also too, like, as your top end guys begin to get, like, if you have some injuries, it's a trickle down effect that affects special teams as well. So, like, your one and two deep, yes, that gets affected. But now the guys that were the 3 and the 4, those dudes, like you're talking about, have to step up and incur more work and more responsibility on the special teams world. So it's not just the top two, your starters and then your second string guys that are affected when injuries happen, right? Other guys from the very bottom of the depth chart begin to work their way up, right? And so it's just this trickle down effect that there's levels to it, right? But that's why I said in a season now, in a new modern CFB with 12 teams in the playoff, Texas feels like they're going to play the maximum amount of games, right? And so all these types of things have to be considered. You have to start to think about those as you enter the home stretch, right? So I just want to make sure people understand what happens. It's not just your front line starters and your secondary role players that are impacted by some of these injuries, right? Everybody has to up their level of their play, their responsibility, and the things that they're being asked to do.
There's no practice squad. You can't find a guy on the street. For Broughton's purposes, though, we're all kind of expecting Jermaine Lole, someone who's played a lot, and he's really picked up and become what you would expect a seventh-year player to be, right, Nick?
Yeah, man, exactly, man. He's a seasoned veteran, man. So so he should step in, for 2 quarters and just kind of do his thing, man. But Broughton coming back in the second half is going to be huge for this team, though.
Let's go to the Florida side of things, and I know we're all focused on Lagway. I think Pete Thamel on ESPN and even nobody is realistically expecting him to do much of anything during the course of this game. I think off air, Orlando, you're talking about, he practiced So he picked up a football.
Yeah.
That's
He had a
about it.
clipboard in practice.
He did, in fact, walk out to the field or step foot onto the practice field. Correct. Yes.
But there are a couple. We'll get to the game time decision guys in a second. There are two really big injuries that are new this week. A lot of these guys who are out. Eugene Wilson just had surgery. Trayon Webb, I think, had surgery. Mertz is gone. We've known that. But the big one, Damian George, right?
Wow.
Well, I can't highlight it. He's our starting right guard. That is a defensive front. They have 29 or an offensive line, excuse me. All of them go over 310. They have 29 players who weigh more than 300 pounds on their roster. Damian George, Charlie, I know you remember this. He was the package deal with Zach Evans from North Shore High School way back in the day. Started at Bama, ended up at Florida. Right guard has played decent football. Not going to be playing. They're going to have to dive into the backups there. And then Elijah Badger, he's been a starting wide receiver for them. They're just above Graham Mertz's name. So they are down two very important pieces. Eugene Wilson, I think he just had surgery coming off the Georgia game, starting wide receiver, that type of thing. Like, so they're pretty banged up at this point. Landon, when you think about the prospect of DJ Lagway playing, we're probably going to see Aiden Warner instead. I kind of likened him a little bit to Davis Warren. But what do you think happens with the Florida offense when they have that third string guy out there?
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple, really, right? I mean, we expect them to try to ball control and run and field position their way to this football game, shorten the football game, if you will. If you don't mind, scroll back up to the top there just so we can see Eugene Wilson's name. I think it was important, right? Especially so obviously DJ Lagway makes a big difference, but in this particular instance here, when we're talking about a third string quarterback and you expect them to use the short pass game, the screen game as an extension of the run, that's an important one. Homer was kind of honing in on that all week long about Eugene and his ability. So he's basically number one or the lowest ADOT, but the most yak. So he's doing tons of a ton of work on his own and just making people miss and getting extra yards after the catch. And so that's a critical component to this, right? For a guy like him to be out alongside DJ Lagway. So like that's a quarterback's best friend, a guy that can do things after the catch, right? But catching the ball behind the line of scrimmage and then just getting shifty, making people miss. He's also out as well. So that's just another thing that I mean, Florida is coming off of an all-out war against Georgia. Texas knows exactly how that feels, right? You go to war against Oklahoma, you go to war against Georgia, you feel a little bit different that following week. And that takes a lot of energy and emotion, right? On top of what do we got here from Leandre?
Yeah, thank you for coming and crossing the line, Leandre. More than likely, we're going to run more than throwing because this third string sucks. It's a battle, man.
They're built for it. Yeah, with the big humans up front, and they're more than capable. They're willing and able to go this way at you. So,
Charlie, do you expect something maybe like? And granted, Michael Van Buren and even Chris Parson were a little bit more mobile than Aiden Warren was, but do you expect a similar game plan like we saw from maybe even Oklahoma? They didn't really trust. Again, there are so many variables, but like this basically shortened the game, like Landon was saying. Is that what you expect to see from Florida?
Definitely, and I think Napier. That was his game plan when he coached at University of Louisiana Lafayette. I expect the kind of same game plan, outside zone, running the ball control, bootlegs, easy throws for the quarterback. Hey, let's just not get blown out here. Let's try to keep the game close as possible, see if our defense can get some stops and keep us in it. But I do like they want to play keep away, right? That's their best bet with so many guys out and not having a guy at quarterback, right? You're just trying to manage the game. If you can find a way to be close in the fourth quarter, great. But if you can't, let's just try to compete and stay within the game versus Texas and not get embarrassed, on a national stage, man, at 11 a.m. where everybody watches.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's another thing too about the DJ Lagway thing, and maybe we can put this to bed. I don't know if y'all want to keep elaborating or not. We can probably talk about this for a long time, but Billy Napier, right, fresh off of getting the vote of confidence from the administration at Florida.
Sit Lagway.
What the heck do you think? Yeah, does anybody in their right mind think that he's willing to risk all of that and put
hell no,
player, who is in theory the future of the program right now in jeopardy? A week removed from being carted off the football field, and you got all the teammates walking over to him.
Yeah. Just
Yes,
save your
correct.
job.
What are we
Job
doing?
is already saved. Sit your future. He is your future.
Yes.
Let him play next year, man. Look, man, Florida has Lagway's gone. Their top rusher, Johnson, is a game time, choice two as well. You're missing your top wide receiver, and you're missing your third best wide receiver as well. They're going to try to run the ball as much as possible, try to, get as much, just time off the clock. Hopefully Texas makes a mistake is what they're trying to think. It's not going to happen. Texas should be able to run away with this game from the defensive side of the ball, knowing that all the players who are the guys at their position, they should be able to kind of, just stop this offense. Texas, please just do your job. Do your job, have containment, just have some kind of assignment integrity and win this game.
Yep.
Oh man, I'm on I have Sports Reference up to look up Montrell Johnson, and I have an ad for Indiana season tickets. So that's kind of funny looking at the Hoosiers. Before we keep on going, got the injury report out of the way, but we got to give some love to our sponsor. Our first one is Luxe Kitchen and Bath. And with that, we will if I can find it, I'll let LC take it away.
This video is brought to you by Luxe Kitchen and Bath. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook, and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring to life that dream vision of your special home. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team provides full remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today. Or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get a free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's LUXE. Or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Link in the description.
We'll go to go ahead. Oh, I was about to say our guy Eric Naline every Saturday usually writes a piece. I either do like keys of the game, or he'll write what to watch for. And he gave 3, 4, 5. He gave a few different bullet points that I think that are worth going over. Obviously, we are always going to start and end with the quarterback. And one of the things that he looked for is a confident Quinn Ewers coach. And one of the we can talk about A-Dot all we want. We want to talk about, safeties and formations and all that. But when you see Quinn play, if he's putting his throws on target, you usually get a pretty good sense of what the rest of his day is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think for me, I know Gunnar Helm said it, but it's a confidence builder. When he's on target, man, he's special to watch, right? You can tell just the way he carries himself on the field of swagger. The no-look pass we saw in Michigan or the first game, right? Talking trash to players. Like, you can tell when his confidence is really high and he's feeling the game.
Oh, yeah.
Opposite of that. But what I expect to see from Quinn is what we kind of saw versus Vanderbilt. I see we might pick and choose when to take our deep shots versus Florida, kind of get them to creep up, especially having Isaiah Bond back. Like I said, with the quick screens, he has an ability to take one to the house and make it and outrun everybody. Might get them to creep up a little bit, get some running game going, then take some one-on-one shots downfield. So I kind of see maybe the exact same kind of Quinn I saw versus Vanderbilt without the tip balls.
Yeah, and tip balls are always blame can go either way. Yeah. When the right guard doesn't make a block, it's hard, but sometimes it's you got to look at it. Nick, we know that where Quinn is maybe best in the country is just on those screen passes. Like you don't really see with Texas dropped screens and inaccurate screen throws. Usually the 5-yard throws, he's fine. And he's been great at like the 10 to 15-yard stuff. But I feel like we need to see him at least this week to know he's confident, pick it up in that 10 to 15, maybe see the middle of the field more to know that this is the Quinn that can get Texas to a next level.
But you know what? Honestly, I don't know if we'll see that this week. So just looking at last week's game, Sark started off 7 of the first 8 plays went to Wisner, whether it was a running play or a passing play, quick quick screen or what have you. So Sark, I think Sark's not going to do much to actually win this game. I think we've all seen where Sark does, right? He does just enough to win the game. He's not going to show his hand too much, right? And so I think it's going to be the same thing with this game. I think Sark knows if he comes in with a decent game plan, gets up possibly 14 points in this game, I wouldn't say that he's going to throttle back, but he's going to keep it very simple and get his guys out with a dub and just continue to get one game at a time.
Lando, I think you've gone over the ADOT stuff, but you can make of that what you will. Quinn played well against Vanderbilt, had 2 interceptions though. Yeah. Do you want to see more than that? Do you want to see a similar game? What's your thoughts on what Quinn's going to try to do? We can also, I feel like, put to bed the injury thing. Like, you're past that at this
couldn't
point.
Back then, you can now.
Yeah. So what are you looking for from Quinn and this offense, in this game plan, even as they face a pretty stout Florida defense?
So for me, I'm like sometimes too deep into sports psychology. Maybe I give it a little bit more credit than it deserves, right? But you can tell body language is the external version of what's happening internally, right? What your brain is processing and what's happening, right? So that's why I was given it some credence watching Quinn not be willing to step up into the pocket and deliver, even amidst some of the pressure that he was dealing with, OU included, where I'm thinking, okay, yeah, maybe I could definitely put there's some validity to him not being 100%. Now you got the extra bye week. There's I agree that is put to bed. So, but the thing for me that I'm really curious to see is, and it's one name, but it's the philosophy that's built off of the one name that ultimately ends up helping the quarterback. Yes. Do I want to see Quinn continue? I mentioned feeling pressure. That's one thing. Okay. Navigating the pocket under pressure, that's another component, and then delivering an accurate ball downfield amidst the pressure. So it's a 3-pronged approach when you discuss pressure, right? But there are ways to combat that, and asking so much of your quarterback, right? Even despite injury, what have you. And so I mentioned the name it's the philosophy that's built off of one name, and that's Jarrett Gibson. Okay. Because, and it's yes, he's a true freshman. Yes, we're asking. It's not like I'm putting all this on the plate of a kid, but it's just the hand that Texas is dealt right now. We looked at the depth chart a minute ago, right? There's 3 running backs on that list. Jarrett Gibson brings a different element of phone booth football than Jaden Blue and Trey Wisner do, right? And it's a different mentality that is sort of all wrapped up within that, right? The offensive line, right? I talked about a couple weeks ago when you go in, like if you're Sark, it's Monday, okay? Practice prep, game week, you're getting ready for your upcoming opponent. If Sark just goes in and talks about, hey, let's punch these dudes in the mouth, right? And he looks at every single one of his offensive linemen in the eyes to start the week of game prep and saying, hey, this is the missing element, the missing link from our team right now. This is the one thing that we haven't officially mastered, right? And it goes back to the whole jack of all trades, master of none thing. I heard Paul talk about Texas's approach, and Ian as well has touched on this. Texas does try to be multiple with their run. And I'm sure, Coach, you could elaborate. But they try to be multiple with the things that they like to do in the running game. If they can just maybe, I'm wondering, I don't know, this is speculative. Somebody can tell me if I'm crazy for even thinking this, but if part of the approach this week was to dial some of that back, hey, let's master one thing. Let's let our big humans
be big humans.
Be exactly that. And then the philosophy, like I mentioned, building off of Jarrett Gibson, who provides that punch, that little bit. There's a different level of this north and south to his game that he brings. That's how you help your quarterback ultimately at the end of the day, right? That's where confidence comes from. Okay, Quinn Ewers didn't go from this guy that we were talking about as a potential day 3 or UDFA last year to a guy after we watch him play in a hostile environment against the defending national champion Michigan, like talking about the navigating the pressure, or the feeling, the navigating, and the delivering under pressure component, right? That version I've seen it happen this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That doesn't just go away for nothing other
Yeah.
than something internal, psychological, right? Well, how do you change the psychology of what the quarterback's feeling is? Okay, we're getting 4.5, 5 yards a pop that way. Now everything else opens up off of it.
With that, you know, we haven't seen Jarek on passing downs a ton.
Yeah, right.
That's been the low hanging fruit for him. Yeah,
I think Eric and I talked about this on Inside the Program. Like, you can, we may over reference PFF, but I'm going to reference it for a reason here. Mm-hmm. His pass blocking grade is 9. That's out of 100.
It's like 2 attempts, right?
Whatever. But yes, he has 2 attempts.
Yeah.
That says more than the 9. But that says that at this point, there are only certain situations that they trust him in. So, Coach, how do you maybe account for that when you're trying to game plan and not make it such an obvious tell? Or is that a tell that you live with? Or that do you hope number 9's gotten better at pass protection? Like, how do you approach that at this juncture?
Yeah, you hope he's gotten better. You had a whole bye week to kind of work on pass protection, running backs being with the offensive line, and just working on multiple things and knowing who to pick up, because it's a lot for a young guy to pick up at the next level when they get there, and who they should pick up, and slide protections, and who has who. So
especially in a world of simulated pressures now more than ever, right?
Yeah,
There's
it's
so much
tough.
chaos at the line of scrimmage happening. Yeah,
you got to get in the film room with the kid and really make him get on the board and draw it up, right? Like, make him draw it up and then go on the field and show that he can translate from the classroom to the field. But if he can't, you just can't put him out there, right? Because you can't trust getting your quarterback hurt. And you even see at the NFL level, that's why a lot of running backs don't play. They pay a lot of money for third down backs who can pick up the blitz, or pick up the extra guy. But you hope he's gotten better. I trust Coach Choice to really develop his guys mentally and physically and get them ready. So if we see him out there and he improves, then, behind the scenes they've been working. But if you don't see him out there, then they just don't feel like he's ready. So it's really, really tough. But as the season goes on, the more game and more film he watches, the more understanding he gets. I think we'll kind of see him out there, because he's a big body who can kind of shoulder that load when the guy's got a free rush on the quarterback and really pick him up. But it's tough. It's tough. Earning trust middle of the season is very, very hard, because you're just rolling at this point, right? You're really game planning for down the road and all that stuff. Development doesn't really happen to the offseason, because you just don't have that much time during the season. You hope to fix some things as you go, but that's pretty huge. That's a big thing to fix, honestly, if you ask me.
Yeah. Nick, what do you want to see from the other backs, from Jaden Blue, from Quinn Travion Wisner?
Honestly, man, last game wasn't really a bad game for these backs. They had a couple runs that were called back, for holding calls and things of that nature. They ran the ball very well. Trey's vision is so good. He's so patient, right? I mean, he gets skinny at the right moment. He's a very patient running back. I love Jaden Blue too. Jaden popped off some really good runs, but having Trey actually come in and start, right, has allowed us to put Jaden back as like that third down back to come in and do like some gadget kind of stuff, but also hit the hole hard. And it gives him the opportunity to sit back and see how Trey can be patient. And now you're seeing Jaden start to be, a tad bit more patient as well. But Jared Gibson, man, if he can come in and just be like that nice battering ram, right? Just that guy like on a short down and distance to go in there and get a touchdown. I'm thinking of like the last drive for Texas going into the end zone where we had to settle for a field goal, right? That was a drive. I think that's a Jared Gibson drive, right? To where if we got to go get 2 yards, it's like 2nd and 2 from the 2-yard line to go get a touchdown to really kind of just bust this game open. That's a drive where they know that we're going to run the ball, hand the ball off to your best guy that can get in between those tackles and carry some folks in there, man. So, look, I like Gibson a lot, but if he doesn't, just improve, just in that pass blocking, he won't see the field as much. But in obvious downs where we have to run the ball, where we need that tough yard, put him in there. Let the young man do his thing, though.
All right.
Before we keep on going, got to give some love to our other sponsor and make sure I get the right one. I believe that is Laura Baker. LC, take it away.
Hi, I want to tell you about Laura Baker. If you're looking for a new home in the 512 or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend. Give her a call.
So, and there he is coming back into the picture. Got some updates. We got Ian Boyd and Justin Wells on the scene. Florida quarterback DJ Lagway went through warmups. Obvious he's hampered. And then Ian there. All things considered, Lagway looks decent, but it's very, very light work. So if you were coming here to check in on some updates, every piece of national reporting, Pete Thamel was on game day saying he's going to give it a go. He's going to suit up. But they do not expect much, if anything, from him today. So good reason to head to Inside Texas to go and get all the updates there. What are y'all looking for?
Drug. I'll say that.
Yeah. Oh man. Like I said, I wrote about how there are 59 players on each roster total listed at 300 pounds or more. This is going to be a game that, similar styles, battle in the trenches. Either way, whether it's Texas offense, Florida defense, Florida offense, Texas defense, what are you really looking for, Nick, as far as, a sign that one side is winning over the other?
Less penalties. I think. Hey, look, man, our offensive line, when they want to get down and dirty, they get down and dirty. I love how Campbell can be nasty and mean. I love, Banks is just, he's different, right? Cam Williams, he's different if he can just get the mental side of the game down and not have so many penalties. I think he was penalized 3 times last game for about 40 yards or so, right? If we can just dial back those penalties, man, keep moving forward, I think we'll have a very, very good day here. But we just got to dial back on those penalties, man. Protect Quinn. Have a nice pocket for Quinn, but also Quinn needs to step up in that pocket as well. Help your offensive line out as well. But the line hasn't been that bad this year. The veteran, just actually good. But it's just a matter of, hey, keep the folks in front of you. Don't let the guys get around you just as much, and lessen those penalties, man. And Quinn, help your offensive line and step up in that pocket when it's time to make it work.
Was looking through, got some pictures from our guy Will Gallagher. Saw a good one of Jamie French with the Cuban links all ready.
Does he? Not the Cubans.
Yeah, so he's got it all looking good. Landon, I mean, we don't have any concern about the left side of the line, but it just seems like it is that right side. And, maybe this game, when you're thinking about someone like Jake Majors possibly going up against Desmond Watson, might want to shade a little bit of help. I don't know. But you hope that your guy can beat their guy, even though a 315-pound person is giving up almost 135.
Yeah, that's nuts. Somebody in the chat had it here too. Scott said, including a 449-pounder. That's crazy. And I actually meant to do this earlier this week. I don't know how many snaps he's seeing per week. But yeah, just in terms of, once again, and I promise I'm not trying to sound like just beat a dead horse here, but one of the ways that you help out the communication and the pass protection and worry about all those things is you just run the football. I mean, that's real. It's kind of that simple to me. And then another note here, real quick sidebar too. I just looked at the line, given this latest development that DJ Lagway is apparently attempting to give it a go. Vegas doesn't really think so, because the line has actually gone more in favor of Texas in the last, at least since I've checked it in the last 48 hours. It's now Texas minus 22. So
it was 21.5 when I checked. So it's a little bit of movement on there. But no, I mean, but still, like the guy's saying, 449 pounds though. Like
Chris is blown away. He said, "Wait, he's how big?"
Yeah, he's huge.
He's huge.
That wasn't a typo.
Keep him on the field. Don't give him the opportunity to sub out. If we get the guy in the field and get the right personnel packages out there, right? So let's say we go 12 personnel and have a non-black out there with Gunnar Helm, and don't sub out when he's on there when the team thinks that we're actually running the ball. Now we move non-black out, and so he can be a receiver, and that guy's going to get gassed after 4 or 5 plays, and then we can start getting the run, man. So, hey, that could be a positive for us, man. That could be a positive for us in the long run.
To his credit, he's good for about 20 a game, which at 449, I'm impressed. And I look at Miami game 1. He's out there for 27, played a decent game. A&M had him out there for 31, and that may have been, was that a Marcel Reed game? I can't remember if it was or not.
That was the 3rd game of the season. That was a Reed game.
Here's something. Tennessee 20. They did not want him out there facing that Heupel offense.
The speed.
And even though like that run game is really what's powering Tennessee, they did not want him out there for that one. So they've got
a lot of rallying and tackling to the flats and stuff like that too because of those splits, right?
Yeah.
Right. And again, they have other good defensive tackles. It's not just him. Sure. But 450 blows you away. Charlie, remember Laquan McGowan way back in the day?
Oh man. Yeah. You got him. What was the guy? They called him Hercules out of Killeen. He's supposed to go to Alabama.
You're talking about
the Kendall Jones?
Kendall Jones.
Yeah. Another big dude, man.
Yeah.
He went so to Watson's credit, and McGowan was too big, but he wasn't too big. Kendall Jones needed to rein it in. I think that's why he ended up at junior college, if I remember right.
Yeah, did he go to Bland afterwards?
He did.
And I think he did rein it in, but I don't think he reined it in for a football career. So, it happens. Man, trying to go through some of the other stuff. We talked about the injury report, and I know we're all into sportsmanship and stuff like that, but like Nino, if you don't have your starting cornerback, you better test if that backup's pretty good or not. And that backup supposedly is a safety this upcoming week for Florida.
Hey, I'm moving Bond. I'm moving Gold. I don't care who I'm moving, but somebody's getting on him, and that guy's getting the ball. He's getting a nice share of targets for the game, and that's what's great about Texas and having Bond come back is that look, our 4th guy now is Wingo, right? And so that makes that's a much bigger difference than having our 4th guy be Bolden, right? And so and that's not a shot on Bolden. Wingo's just different, right? So he's just different. But if you can get a guy like Wingo or Golden or Moore or Bond to kind of line up against their 2nd string guy who's really a safety, test that guy early and often and just make it work, man.
So Nino, I don't know how much I'm assuming you watch basketball, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So have y'all seen that clip where it's Team USA back in the day? I want to say maybe 2008 or 2012 when Kobe and Bron, rest in peace, Kobe, were still on the same Team USA team, and it was like behind the scenes they were in pregame warmups. They had their jumpsuits on. I think it was actually 08 because D Wade was on that team as well.
Yeah.
And Bron was making fun of Kobe. Like when Kobe comes down the court, you see this. Bron was saying everybody in the world knows exactly what that means. That means get out the way. Kobe's about to go ISO. So if you see Cleveland this to Isaiah Bond over there on the edge, just know they're about to test that back up. Just hit him with one of these right here. Funny stuff.
Bond, get it.
Yeah.
I remember one time I went to like an NIL camp when it was like guys like Hudson Card and what's his name? Charles Wright. And they were teaching kids Texas parlance. And I saw some of the stuff. It's like, and I'm not going to do it. It's like, hey, when we want an isolation route, it's this. And I snapped a picture of it. And I remember like a couple years later, I saw Sark at a practice where he had a media availability. And I saw like him do the exact same thing. I'm like, okay, so there's some stuff stored in there. But yeah, they are able to do similar stuff like that. They make those side adjustments. Or as we learned against Vanderbilt, they make those verbal adjustments on the fly for slot fades and things like that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Trying to go over some of the other things that let's just talk about the fact that this is it. This is November football. This is meaningful games for Texas. Nino, I know your channel's been around for a while. Lando, same with
Yeah.
you. Like I've been working for Inside Texas since 2016, and I've told this story before, but they gave media, I think, a chance to talk to Sark when he was hired, and I had the line for him, and I was like, "Hey, this is my 4th year on the job, and you're my 3rd head coach." And he's like, he
That didn't go well.
kind of reared back. But like, it's one of those things where we have been through months of November where we're talking about like Alamo Bowl, 6 wins.
Yeah.
And then we got to like, okay, can they make it to Arlington, which is an improvement. And now it is, and even under Sark, as Chris Bennett points out, there is a 6-game losing streak weaved in there at one point. But now, Nick, like this is a program to where these games have meaningful, not just conference implications, but just national implications. And that's the expected when you're the number 5 team.
Yeah, man. Look, I love it. So getting Sark, there were like, like some folks were kind of, hey, he's 9-win Sark. He's never won more than 8 games or what have you, right? And so, I think Texas got it right. Like we finally got it right. We've gone through the Charlie Strong years. I know everybody loved Charlie, great guy, right? We went through the Tom Herman years. We went through the end of Mac years, right? But Texas finally got their guy. And not only are we playing meaningful games in November, us going into the SEC, we're playing meaningful games against brands that we want to see played against also. Nothing against a Baylor or an Iowa State or a Kansas, but seeing Texas play against Texas A&M in a few weeks and against Florida this week and Arkansas next week, it's just so much better football. Right? Cool. It's just so much better football. Right. So it actually gets you up to watch these games. And when Texas is competitive, right, it really gets you up to watch these games. And Sark has built a monster of a team here. He has great depth here. And we, as long as Sark is here, I got a feeling with this 12-team playoff, we're always going to be in contention in November to make the playoffs. Right. Just as long as he has his guys. So I'm excited about it, man. This is the right hire here for Texas. And this is the right move here for Texas actually going to the SEC as well.
Yeah, I'm excited for this because I'm trying to think, what was our November slate?
Oh, let me check. Let me check for you.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I remember going to Ames.
Here, I got you right here, man. Kansas State, TCU, Iowa State, Texas Tech. That was our November last year. Okay.
And hey, that Kansas State, the highlight. Well, the highlight was Tech, but for a different reason. The best game was Kansas State.
Yeah,
without a doubt. And that got the big noon treatment. Pack DKR, a tight game. Malik Murphy giving it his best. But that the name brand game, maybe the only ranked game at home that year was Kansas State. Whereas you're a little bit surprised that Florida's not ranked, but you bring in Georgia. You bring in a Kentucky team that's probably not as good as everybody thought. But next year, think about this. You're going to be bringing in Arkansas. You're going to be bringing in Texas A&M. You're going to be bringing in, a Texas State team that's a little bit more competitive under GJ. So we'll see the schedule play out, of course. And as we saw a few weeks ago, reports of Notre Dame being added again, like they are making sure that it's not just one-off early season game that brings in some of the big guns. It's the all throughout the year with the SEC. And one of the other things we talk about DKR, it is the 100th anniversary of the stadium. I think yesterday was the 100th anniversary. And one of the cool things I think that speaks to the November football aspect that we're going to see more and more of, and of course it speaks to the physical nature of the building now. All like 7 of the top 10 attended games ever in Longhorn history are under Sark. And, you have to have, I have seen games at Texas where they have 100,000 seat stadium where 92 are there. And you can tell me whatever you want. I can't remember if it was like the National League that would count tickets through the gate, and then like the American League would count tickets sold or something like that. You can tell me 95 and I can see 89 with my own eyes. But these are the types of games where they are getting in 100, and they mean they are getting in 100, and that speaks to the overall just excitement that now you have with the SEC, you have with a 7-1 team, and you have all over the country. And here's the thing: they are must win because, Landon, of this no division nature of the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, every game is important, man. And to speak on add a little bit more on top of just the environment and things like that, the home field advantage, it all kind of plays into it, right? And it's that much more important as you get through the home stretch. So a lot of times these players, man, they thrive off of the energy that the stadium and that the fans provide in each of these matchups, right? It's the SEC that we've heard all along, and we're seeing that now, right? Even against Vanderbilt, there's no weeks off. You can't, and that's not to knock Vanderbilt. We know that they're actually the real deal. That wasn't just a fluke performance on their behalf, but the fans, man, they're feeling it. Chris Del Conte has done such a great job just improving the stadium atmosphere and just kind of making everybody feel like they're a part of the victory, right? It's doing things with the lights, doing things with the drones, like adding on to the stadium and just making it more visually appealing when doming it up. So the volume, naturally the volume inside the building increases. And so all those things matter, man. And then it makes for, it's that added little bit of home field advantage that we're going to continue to see not only increase, but being more and more important.
I've been to some, I remember one time they had like a game. It's like, all right, we're gonna make this like the home game where we get everybody there early. We're gonna have them all there. Everybody's excited. Jetpack guy is gonna be there, and then it was an 11 a.m. kick. So, and I like 11 a.m. kicks. It's a lot of fun for professional wise. I like them, in the day just to be able to go home and watch more. But I understand why people like getting ready for night games in their various ways, and we'll see what happens. Yeah. Just imagine what's going to go on in Baton Rouge.
That's going to be fun.
Man.
Later tonight.
Great game.
So hey, there is, like I said, there is no reason to change the channel from ABC today.
Nope.
You can stay on there, and I try not to be SEC homer because I don't think we've really earned much cachet in being able to do that quite yet. But those are the games. That and maybe keeping an extra eye on, I can't believe I'm saying this, Michigan and Indiana should be the fun ones to keep note of. We talked about the line kind of moving to 22. Yep. I put my prediction in. Let me dig up Charlie's, the internet in Dallas. I guess it's spotty up there. But let me dig up his prediction. I'll say what he said. I'll throw it down my prediction, and then we'll get a couple more from y'all before we head out of here and flip our TVs on.
While you're doing that, Joe, give you a little bit of time to buy some time to pull that up. I just wanted to acknowledge really quickly, though. I mean, the perception, given the line that you just mentioned and that we've touched on already, Florida's perception is a little bit less than I think we should. I don't know. Maybe I want to say that they're just a little bit misunderstood. Hey, there we go. Coach Dub's back in the house.
Yeah.
Just think about their four losses, though, right? They had Georgia on the ropes before their best player got hurt. It took Tennessee to overtime at Tennessee.
That they should have tried to win.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
They lost to Texas A&M, and then they got embarrassed by a Miami team who is top 4 in the country right now. That was week 1, and that was before a lot of people knew how good Cam Ward was.
Mm-hmm.
So the perception on Florida is, I think it's a lot different, right? If they play Miami and get blown out, say week 6, as opposed to week 1, the loss doesn't hurt as much, right? But even still, they're a much better team in week 6 than they were in week 1 anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's not the same Florida that their record would indicate. I just want to make sure that that's clear and that's understood. Like this is like, you look at the roster top to bottom, you talk about,
they're stacked.
Dude. I mean, there's no shortage of talent down there in Gainesville. Yes, they're banged up. Yes, they're coming off that war against Georgia last week, but I promise you Texas isn't taking this team lightly.
Yeah, this is the big topic all preseason for Florida was, look at that schedule. And the schedule is what the schedule is. It's tough. Yep. Florida State notwithstanding. But like I think a lot of people, Paul always says it, there's this perception that you are what your record says you are, and that's true to an extent. But like, this is a program that has lost 2 quarterbacks, lost a bunch of guys, and yet they're still 4-4. And they've played what, 3 top 10 teams or 3 top 15 teams? 4,
2.
Yeah. Now they haven't beaten them. That says a lot.
But they play competitive.
But they've played them competitive. So
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm not sure. Charlie, I found our predictions. I said 31-9. You can see the rest from the rest of the Inside Texas stuff. I said 31-9, and that's not a touchdown and a safety. Charlie, you have 33-16. Nick, you go first, and Atlanta, I'll give you the last word. What do you think happens on the scoreboard today?
I got 37-13, man. And 13 might be a stretch. I was kind of going 34-10 or, like 37-13, but I go 37-13, man. I think Quinn's gonna have a big game today. I think Quinn has his weapons today. We're at home too. So yeah, man. So give me 37-13 Texas.
Landon?
I like something along those lines too. I'll be boring and I'll follow Vegas's line, but I mean, Texas really, the offense isn't the same version of itself, right? They're going to live in that 30-point range. And I think that assuming the defense does what we all expect them to do, they're going to put the offense in advantageous situations. So even I think if Texas still doesn't show us today that they've got everything solved with the vertical element of the passing game, this is still a 34, 36-point Texas team. So I'll just say 34-13. Texas covers the 22-point spread. Actually, does that check out? Hold on. Let me make sure I'm not correct.
That's 21 points. 21.
Yeah, totally.
There you go.
Go ahead and say 34-10. 34-10 for Lando.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I think this is a game where, we always used to talk about how Gary Patterson made opponents play left-handed. Mm-hmm. I think this is a game where, Coach, we're going to see Pete Kwiatkowski do that, especially to a third-string quarterback who doesn't know what he's walking into. Yeah. This isn't the Yale Bowl.
Maybe this is a good place to end, because I've seen a lot of deliberation amongst just the fan base on Twitter and things like that. Like, how do you approach this if you're PK? That's a great point, Joe. Maybe Coach or Nino wants to take this one, but I know how I feel about it personally. But just in terms of dialing up the pressure on a third string quarterback and making him process and things like that, I understand why you may want that, but then that also opens up a world of, hey, blown assignment or a big play, missed tackle, something like that. You sort of allow them to recapture momentum. What do y'all feel? How do y'all feel about it? I know how I feel, but you want to elaborate on that, Coach?
I feel like this. A third string quarterback who hasn't
guns, though, right? Like
gotten to
yeah.
You got to stick to who you are. That guy needs to feel like all 11 guys are rushing him, right? Confuse him, make him super frantic in the pocket. Like, okay, I don't know where they're coming from. Like, I can't remember what NFL quarterback was on the bench. He's like, I'm seeing ghosts out there. Like,
Sam Darnold.
He needs to feel like that today. But I don't think you necessarily have to do anything exotic. I think Texas has been in plenty of games this season where they face guys who really only can read one side of the field, right? So this is a game you probably can work on some stuff and use it in the future, right? But like, stay to who you are, stay true to who you are, because I don't think you need to do or bring out everything exotic and give somebody a chance to see it on film. It's like, okay, Texas may bring that out against us, right? But yeah, make that guy uncomfortable early and often, man. He's a young guy, hasn't seen a ton. Make him pay.
Especially so, like with the IQ of the Texas secondary, right? Yes, pressure freaks out quarterbacks, but you know what freaks out quarterbacks, especially young ones and inexperienced ones, just as much as pressure, is a 7 in coverage vision-based defense where you're having guys just basically jump on things, right? That's going to freak somebody out. So I'm glad to hear you say that, Coach. I just wanted to hear someone else other than me think it and say it. So I appreciate
why go against what has worked to where the only defense that you lack or you trail as far as a number of projections is Arby's.
Yeah.
And that's the team that has to play ball control. And they almost don't play ball control because they just go down the field so quickly. Yeah. But like Texas plays standard offense and they're number 1 or number 2 in a bunch of different metrics, and they're only behind Army. Like, I don't think you need to change too much of what has worked so far this year. So absolutely, Eyes of Texas said it right there. Landon, thank you so much. Nick, thanks for jumping on. We appreciate it. You always
anytime, man.
Bring it whenever you're on here. Coach, we appreciate you. Thank you to our sponsors, Luxe Kitchen and Bath and Laura Baker And hey, if you're here, before you head out, before you flip it on ABC, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Of course, head to InsideTexas.com. Join the conversation. We'll have plenty of post-game coverage. So, gentlemen, appreciate it. Y'all enjoy. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas. We'll see you after the game. How about that? On the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.